Economic obedience is the silent engine that keeps modern society running. You wake up, commute, work, spend, and crash, and somehow believe it's all normal. But a system doesn't need bars if it can convince you to love the cage. You call it a career. You call it adulthood. It feels routine, respectable, but none of it is accidental. Nietzsche said, "He who has a why can bear almost any how." But what if your why was programmed? What if the rhythm you follow is just the dull grind of a machine you were born into and trained never to question? The modern worker is the perfect product, predictable, exhausted, in debt, and afraid to stop running. And freedom? You were taught it simply means choosing a different master. But the rat race isn't a glitch. It's architecture. And school? It didn't forget to teach you how money works. It was built so you'd never even think to ask. You learned how to wait, obey, comply, but never how to own, never how to escape. There are only two kinds of people, those who own the game and those who keep it running. This video is for the people who are finally ready to step off the wheel. In the real world, you either earn money while you sleep or you spend your life trading hours for it. Most people, maybe you too, were trained for the second path, and that wasn't accidental. From a young age, school teaches you how to sit still, follow directions, meet deadlines. But they never teach you how money actually works, how to build, invest, or create room to breathe. That wasn't an oversight, it was the point. Financial literacy isn't missing from the curriculum because no one thought of it. It's missing because obedient, dependent workers are far more profitable than people who think for themselves. And when you finally get your diploma, you feel accomplished, but what does it really prove? It proves you passed their tests, followed their rules, and you're ready to spend your best years building someone else's wealth. The wealthy, they play a different game. They own things, businesses, assets, systems that keep paying them long after they stop working. You were trained to comply. They were trained to own. That split shapes everything. You don't need chains when people have been trained to show up on their own. Most people don't even question it. They wake up, get dressed, and show up, not because they're forced to, but because they've been told that's what good people do. You're praised for being stable, for being realistic, for staying in line. Over time, that praise hardens into your identity. You're not James or Maya anymore. You're a software engineer, a senior consultant, a reliable employee. It sounds like achievement, but it's a quiet kind of disappearance. Your job title becomes your name tag in life. And beneath it all, there's this belief that if you let go, if you stop pushing, everything will fall apart. That's the trap. Job security feels safe, but really it just means you know exactly how much of your time you've already sold. Benefits and promotions, they're just nicer looking handcuffs. They shine just enough to keep you from running. What no one tells you is that you were taught to be proud of obedience, not courage. The system doesn't just rent your time, it gradually takes your sense of self, until one day you forget who you were before the job. And once your identity is locked inside your job, the race really begins. You run harder, not because you're free, but because you're scared to stop. 40, 50, 60-hour weeks just to keep your head above water. You work to pay the bills, to pay the debts, to maybe take a week off if your manager says yes. And underneath all of it sits a quiet fear. If you slow down, you lose everything. That fear isn't accidental. It's the fuel. The system takes your anxiety and sells it back to you as responsibility. It tells you stress is strength, that burnout means you're doing something right. You're not climbing a ladder, you're running in a wheel. And every year, they slide the finish line a little further away. You don't notice it at first, because everyone else is running too. But slowly, something starts to feel wrong. You're not getting ahead, you're just getting older, more tired, and more stuck. The truth? The rat race was never built for you to win. It was built so you'd never stop running. And the longer you stay in it, the easier it becomes to confuse momentum with progress and motion with meaning. But the cruelest part of the race, you don't even get to keep what you earn. You run all week just to hand it back. Rent, interest, car payments, credit cards. The The system doesn't just take your time, it teaches you to spend the reward before you even receive it. Work, spend, borrow, repeat. That's the real operating system. And we don't just follow it, we celebrate it. You get a promotion and the first thing you do is upgrade your car. You survive another quarter and you book a vacation you'll be paying off for the next 12 months. Money, which once meant freedom, now just feeds the next impulse, the next dopamine hit. Your self-worth becomes something you can display, not something you truly own. Even high earners aren't immune. They smile through dinner parties while drowning in debt they're too embarrassed to admit. And the most dangerous part? You don't question any of it because everyone around you is doing the same. As Thoreau wrote, the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. And today, that desperation comes with a billing cycle. You're not spending money, you're spending your future to impress people who aren't even looking. And when debt becomes your default, you start confusing survival with success. You're not building freedom, you're maintaining appearances. But here's the twist. The deeper you sink into the system, the more you start defending it. You tell yourself, at least I have a steady job, even when it's draining the life out of you. You take pride in showing up every day, in not quitting, in being reliable, as if endurance and purpose were the same thing. You've been taught to prize stability over growth, routine over risk. The benefits? Health insurance, paid time off, retirement plans. They sound generous, but they're gold-plated shackles. They keep you tethered, just comfortable enough not to leave. Promotions feel like progress, but most of the time they're just better decorated cages. Over the years, your job title slowly becomes your name. I'm a lawyer. I'm a manager. I'm with this firm, as if your entire self could be reduced to a single line on a resume. And the system works best this way when you've been trained not just to accept the walls, but to love them. As Aldous Huxley warned, the perfect dictatorship would be one where the slaves do not have to be coerced because they love their servitude. And once you start believing the cage is security, you stop asking what freedom even looks like. You focus on staying afloat, on making it to next month, on doing the responsible thing. So you budget, you build an emergency fund, you follow the 50-30-20 rule like a model adult. But here's the truth. These are survival tools, not freedom tools. They keep you steady, not sovereign. You can't save your way out of the rat race. Skipping lattes won't buy your life back. What nobody tells you is that financial defense has a ceiling. You can only shrink your expenses so far before there's nothing left to cut, and you're still selling your time. Real escape doesn't happen when you spend less. It happens when you earn differently. When you start creating value instead of completing tasks. When you own what you build, a business, a skill, an idea that works for you while you sleep. As Naval Ravikant said, you will never get rich renting out your time. You don't win this game by playing it safer. You win by switching from defense to offense, by refusing to merely survive and finally learning how to play to win. But even when you switch from defense to offense, when you start earning differently, building something of your own, none of it matters if your mind is still trapped, because money alone can't free you if you still think like a servant. And that's the hardest part, letting go of the voice inside that whispers, be realistic, play it safe, don't dream too big. That voice isn't yours. It was installed by teachers, bosses, even parents, people who were only repeating what someone once told them. Real financial freedom doesn't begin in your bank account. It begins the moment you stop believing the story you were handed. The system depends on your belief in it. It needs you to think the ladder leads somewhere. It needs you to believe the rules are fair, but they're not. As George Orwell wrote, until they become conscious, they will never rebel. You can't free yourself by earning more, saving harder, or working smarter, not if you're still trying to win a game you never chose. True escape begins with rebellion, quiet, internal, steady. The moment you stop believing, the chains don't fall off instantly, but they start to loosen, and that's where freedom begins. Once you stop believing in the system, you're left with an even harder question. What do I believe in now? Because the rules weren't just about money, they shaped your entire definition of success. And you followed that script for so long, it started to feel like truth. Good grades meant you were smart. A corporate job meant you were winning, a mortgage meant you were settled. But none of that was ever really yours. Every milestone you chased served someone else. Your performance made you a better employee. Your debt made you a better customer. Your exhaustion made you easier to manage. As Charles Bukowski once said, they never lie to you in school, they just never tell you the whole truth. Real success isn't a title, a car, or a house in a zip code that impresses your relatives. It's not climbing someone else's ladder, it's building your own map. A life where your time is truly yours, where your work aligns with your values, where your peace isn't tied to a paycheck. So before chasing your next goal, pause and ask yourself, who benefits if I reach it? If the answer isn't you, then maybe it's time, for the first time, to define success on your own terms. Once you stop chasing someone else's definition of success, the next question is simple. How do I build a life on my own terms? The truth is, the wealthy don't just earn more, they follow a completely different rule book. Not because they're geniuses, but because they were shown the game, and you weren't. Here's the simple breakdown. First, compound interest. Time is your biggest asset. Use it. Start now. Even small steps grow enormous when you give them years to breathe. Second, leverage. The wealthy don't try to do everything alone. They use systems, people, capital, and technology to multiply what they can produce. Third, ownership. Don't just work for a company, own something. A business, equity, property, anything that grows, even when you're not working. Fourth, multiple income streams. The rich never bet their future on one paycheck. They build income from different sources, including the ones that earn while they sleep. As Warren Buffett said, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. This isn't a shortcut, it's a different blueprint, one you were never taught until now. Learning the rules is only the starting point, because knowing how the wealthy play the game means nothing if you're still playing on their board. The real shift begins when you stop thinking like a player and start thinking like a builder. Your salary isn't the finish line, it's the seed. Use it wisely. Use it to climb out of bad debt. Use it to buy back your own time, not just to rest, but to think. And then use that mental space to create something that belongs to you. A system, a skill, a product, a structure that works even when you're not at the wheel. Speed won't save you if you're running in the wrong direction. You don't need more hustle, you need a better map. You were trained to follow paths, now it's time to draw your own. As James Clear wrote, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So build better ones, because if you don't, the real danger isn't failure, it's mediocrity. And in the next video, we'll face that fear head on, the fear of living a mediocre life. See you there.